Hello again, everybody. So I've got a new project today on my Elite 50S, and that project is a MALOSSI big bore kit. So I purchased this kit for around 150 bucks. It should take me from the 49 cc's up to 65, and it comes with everything you need to install it. It comes with the rings, it comes with the gaskets, you can see the pistons there on the inside, of course the jug, and the pins in there as well. So everything that I need to install it, it comes with. And as far as the performance on this is the first time I've installed a MALOSSI kit. I have installed a Polini in the past, and the Polini was very reliable, so I'm hoping this is the same. MALOSSI also sells a primary gear set. Just to give you a little background, this Elite 50S is the only bike up to 93 that came with a 10.243 to 1 gear ratio, which is it's a pretty good ratio. It's not 9 to 1, but it's definitely better than what the other bikes came with. Other bikes being the regular Elite 50 for 87, the 85 to 87 Aeros, as well as the 88 to 93 SE50s. They all came with that 11 to 0.97 to 1 gear ratio. So MALOSSI put out a kit that gives you about 7.83 to 1. And that kit is going to help all those other bikes besides this one, but it's going to be a little bit sluggish off the line, just to forewarn you. I remember when I installed it in my Aero that, you know, from 0 to like 11-12 miles an hour, it was pretty sluggish off the line after I added that MALOSSI kit. So just forewarning if you do purchase it. But with this SE50, I think it'll be just fine. It should give me pretty good takeoff speed. I shouldn't need those primary gears. I should be okay for takeoff, and top end should be pretty good as well. Maybe 45, 46, somewhere around there is what I'm hoping to get. So I guess we're going to find out. I'm going to get started in a minute. So the first thing we're going to do is take off the panels, and you can see there's a screw underneath there, and then there's another one right there. And then you have one on the back there, one up over here, and then last but not least, one down there. So once you take those off, that's going to take the side panel off, and then once you take the side panel off, I'll show you where we stand. Alright, I got both panels off. Same thing on the other side, just removing those same exact screws. Now I'll go ahead and I'll take the seat off. Alright, now that the seat's off, you got a bolt under here to take off, and then taking these 4 off right there, and that's going to allow you to get this off. Alright, so we have that now off as well, and next we're going to do is we're going to take the exhaust off, and then we're also going to take off this plastic piece here, and we'll go from there. The exhaust, got a couple of bolts there, and then on the underside where it connects to the old jug, you'll see one there, and then there's one on the other side. So we'll go ahead and we'll take that off next. Alright, so we got the exhaust off, you can see, along with the starter cover. Show you where we are. I'm going to go ahead and remove the spark plug and this jug cover, and we'll go from there. Alright, we're on this side now. So in order to get this off, you got some bolts you got to remove. But I'm going to take the carb off anyways because I'm going to upjet. So next is taking the carb off along with the air filter. And you start by taking those 2 bolts off right there. And a nut there. And then you can see how it pulls right off of the side of the carb. And then there's a little strap that this goes around, and then this whole thing comes off, which gets us to this point. And once you remove the carburetor, I still have it connected to the throttle and to the fuel, but just to show you, that's how you can get to the shield. You got a bolt that's over there, and you got a bolt that's right there, and it's going to allow you to pull the heat shield off. Alright, as you can see, take off that bolt there and that bolt there, and your heat shield comes off. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the head, and then we'll take the jug out. Alright, so I got the 4 bolts off. Just be mindful of where they were originally, and also keep track of the way that you pull this off. This is the way that it goes back on, just like that, because you're going to reuse this. There's no reason to purchase a new one. This will work with the new jug. So when you go to install it, just be mindful that it went on just like this. So next thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and tap on the jug and get that to come off, and then remove the pin and take the cylinder off. Alright, so the next step that I did was I put on these studs. There's going to be a short and a long set of threads. You put the short side in, and you can see there's a flat spot, and that's what you use in order to tighten it up with. So just make sure that when you put this in, you're using some of that Loctite. Real important, because this is going to vibrate. This is going to vibrate heavily every time it's, in motion. And if you don't have any Loctite in there, then there's a real good chance that these are going to come loose, and these are what hold your exhaust on. So real important step. If you see any kind of threads below this flat part, you did not turn these enough. So keep twisting. Just be gentle not to go over any of the threads until they are all the way down. You'll have a little bit of Loctite that'll come out. Just wipe it up with a rag. It's no big deal. And then it's ready for you to install the exhaust on. Okay, so I did get that off. As you can see here, still in great shape. Sleeve doesn't have any scratches on it at all, so this can be reused. This is definitely going to go into the parts bin, just in case something happens and I have to add it back to this bike. Then I have it to use. So as far as removing the piston, that was the next step. You definitely want to make sure that you have a rag pushed in here, so that when you remove it, and as you can see I got a little ahead of you there, but the piston goes on right here. There's a clip that's on both sides of it, and then there's a pin that goes down the middle. As soon as you remove the clip, you want to make sure that you have a rag in there, just so that the clip doesn't get into your crankcase. That's going to cause you a lot more harm than good. So make sure that you have a rag in there also when you're cleaning off the old material. And you can see there, I used a razor blade and used a brass brush and lightly got all the old material off, and it's all ready to go for the new gasket. And when you put the new gasket on, you're going to use this. It's called Honda Bond, and it's going to help to make sure that you don't have any air leaks. It's a really good product, highly recommend. Most people who've used it do like the results they got from it. So it's not something that you want to mush all over the place. You just want to put a very light bead around the top where the gasket's going to go, and then put the gasket on, and then put another light bead around. And then once you push the jug along with the head and push it all together, it'll make a nice airtight seal. So a lot of people like to put this stuff right on the gasket, but in this case the gasket overlaps a lot of the hole, and I didn't want to put it on the gasket and then have it go into the place where I don't want it. So here I'm just going to put a very light bead around the top, and then put the gasket down, and then go from there. But I wanted to show you a very important tool to add to your arsenal is this Honda Bond. Next would be also just to show you, I was going to show you the difference between the two jugs next to each other. You can see they're almost identical. This one's a little bit taller, so once you go to put that heat shield back on, it might be a little bit tighter fit, but it should still go over the top. Okay, now I'm ready to put the piston back on. You can already see, number one, there's an arrow, and that arrow has to face your exhaust. So make sure when you install it you do that. On this side I've already installed one of the clips. You can see it on in there. It's going all the way around. Make sure you got that clip all the way inserted. Otherwise you're going to cause yourself a lot more grief. Make sure you have a towel. Then we are going to set it like this. And then actually take the pin and push it through. And I only have one hand, but that's why you want to make sure you put the clip on first on this side, then you push it through the pin, and then you can go ahead and put the other clip on this side. Make sure you have your rag covering the hole. And there you go. So I got the pin in there, the clip's on the other side. You push it in there as far as it can go, and that's as far as it can go. And next thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll put the new clip on. Alright, so you can see I have the rings are installed, I got the pin installed, and I got a clip installed on both sides. Just take your time when you're doing the clip. It took me about 10 minutes or so to get this one on. The other side's easy because you can hold it in your hand, but this one took 10 minutes. And just make sure you got rags going all the way around it so it doesn't get into places you don't want it. So next part we're going to do is I'm going to put a bead of Honda Bond on and put the gasket down, and then I'm going to lube up the piston and the cylinder real good. You don't want to do that though. Put that 2-stroke oil on it until after you get these clips on, otherwise good luck getting it on. So now that I got this all assembled, I will go ahead and, like I said, put the Honda Bond on, put the gasket on, and then I will lube up the cylinder along with the piston. Right, you can see you're going to have to hold the piston in place and get that nice bead of Honda Bond all the way around. Alright, so we have it on there. Thin bead of Honda Bond. And now we're going to go ahead and put the top gasket on and put the head on. Alright, so I went ahead and I got the cylinder on there. I put that gasket, put a little bit of the Honda Bond on, and put this on. And now I just torque down the 4 bolts. And everything sounds okay. Everything seems to be moving good. So we are ready. And next step is I'm going to go ahead and put the exhaust back on. Alright, so I got the exhaust back on. Remember I put the 2 bolts there, and then there's a couple of nuts that go right on there, and we're good as gold. Just make sure you put the gasket back in there. And then I install this. Now we're going to head on to the other side of the bike to put everything back together again, the heat shield and that stuff. So we'll head over there now. So I put the heat shield back on as I thought. It's a little bit taller, but it should still be okay. So I'll go ahead and tighten those bolts up, the 2 on the other side. Alright, got the 2 bolts put back in. Now I'll go ahead and put the carb and the air box back on. Okay, I got the carb in place, but before I install the carb, I want to go ahead and I want to upjet. Right now, this should have an 87 in it, and I'm going to move it up to a 90 and see how it performs with a 90. So here's my little new jet, and this does not come with the cylinder kit. So just keep in mind. Now this particular carb is a, offbeat Chinese carb, so I'm not exactly sure what size is in it, so we'll find out. I'm going to empty the bowl first. Once you take the 2 screws that attach the float bowl, then you got access right there to your jet. So you can see this one right in the center there. That's the one that I'm going to be pulling out, and we'll put the new one in. Alright, I put the 2 screws that hold the float bowl back on, made sure the gasket and everything was in place, and the 90's in there. Unfortunately, this carb, I'm not sure what jet was in there to begin with, but I'm assuming it wasn't an 87 just because the bike it wasn't running right, and that should be what is on this bike. is an 87, but I guess we'll find out what the 90 does. Just remember when you put the car back in that you got to put this back on, and then this ring goes this direction because there's already a ring right there that's going to hit the back. So just make sure you put it on the right way, and take and put your bolts on. You should be good to go. Alright, I reattached 2 bolts that were right there, and then reconnected the gas and vacuum lines, and now we're ready to go ahead and okay, so I got the airbox back on. There is a bolt right there, and then the other one's right there. The one that's right here, there's actually a nut that connects to the back of it, and it's loose, so you got to hold it in with your finger in order to screw it back on. So just be mindful of that when you take it off and when you put it on, that there's a nut that goes along with it. And right there is the connection I made and into the side of the carb. So we're good to go there. Next we have our little trail tech. So I'll go ahead and install that on a brand new spark plug. I just got to remove the washer that's on the spark plug because you can't use that along with the trail tech. It won't work. So I'll remove that washer and we'll get that installed. Alright, you can see the spark plug's installed, and the trail tech wire is in there as well. It's a real nice fit when it comes to this head. Nothing gets in the way on the top, so makes for an easy fit. So I just push this on. I'm going to go ahead and put on the 2 bolts that hold it in. Alright, so I got it all back together. You can see I did some windings around here. This is for my tachometer that I use, just so I can get it to idle correct. And then here you can see the trail tech is going right there up. So just want to be careful that you don't have this wire leaning on anything over here because it gets real hot. So that's about it. Now we are going to start the period of dry time to allow that gasket material Honda bond to take hold. So we'll be back tomorrow to start her up. Okay, the next day is here. Gave it, overnight for that Honda bond to cure up for me. Just wanted to make sure I gave it the adequate time. So we are going to go ahead and start the bike up. And just to be honest with y'all, I've already started it up a couple times and got it up to temperature, and then I let it bring it down again. This is an important step, and it's called heat cycling. And you want to let the bike warm up, give it a couple good twists on the throttle, let it warm up a bit, and then let it cool down. And do it a good 10 times or so in order for the bike to get acclimated to the new piston and cylinder, make sure everything is going okay. I still got a little bit of adjusting to do on the car because the jet I installed is a little bit different than the old one, and I've got it so that it's pretty close. Using my tach over here, I've been able to get it, somewhere around 1800 to 2000 RPMs. It seems to like to run better at a little over 2000 RPMs, so I figure there's going to be some differences with it between this and the old setup. But I'll go ahead and we'll kick it on and you can hear how it sounds. Right away we get it right there at 1900. And I got my trail tech right here letting me know the temperature. Alright, so I'm gonna let it go for a little while, get it up to temperature, and I'll be back. Alright, well I went back and installed all the panels. I didn't really see a need to re-show you how to do things I already did. So I buttoned everything up, put the seat, put the panel, and put the side panels on. And I started it about a good 8-9 times, let it warm up. Got it as hot as like 270 degrees. And it seems to be running fine. It's a little rich. I have to still tweak it a little bit. But here, I'll show you how it sounds. Sorry for putting you down like that, but it's definitely more throaty now. It's got a little bit, it's the same exhaust, but you can just hear the difference. It's a little bit, I don't know what other word to use besides throaty, but definitely sounds a little different. And I rode it up and down the street a couple times, and it definitely goes up to 45 now, which is fine. It gets there quicker as well. So that's going to end this video. And if you like my channel, please subscribe. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Not that I ever ask for those anyway, but just let me know if you like it or don't like it. I like all comments. And that'll do it. Thanks for watching.